Good afternoon. Today's Tuesday, June the 8th, 2021. I'd like to play for you three selections by one of my favorite Baroque composers, Johann Pachelbel. You probably know his famous Canon in D that starts like this. Those 8 notes played by the cello, since this was originally written for 3 stringed instruments, those 8 notes are played as many times as is needed to cover the rest of the canon, which is the canon between the upper voices, 2 violins, for about 5 minutes. If you're the cello player, it can be rather dull. But Pachelbel was quite an interesting composer, and his keyboard music in particular is interesting. So I'd like to play for you the Toccata in E minor, one of the so-called Magnificat fugues, of which there are more than 100, this one on the 4th tone, and so sort of E minor, and ending with a chorale prelude on Old Hundredth. You probably know that tune as the doxology. It's called Old Hundredth because when Louis Bourgeois wrote tunes for the metrical psalter for the Reformed Church, that was the tune that he wrote for Psalm 100. We have it in our hymnal that way at number 75, all people that on earth do dwell. So Pachelbel, a native of Nuremberg, was born there in 1653 and died there in 1706. In the meanwhile, between those 2 dates, he traveled quite extensively, worked in places like Erfurt in Germany, Vienna in Austria, and he in fact was the teacher of Johann Sebastian Bach's oldest brother, and Pachelbel was a friend of their father. But Johann Sebastian Bach only met Pachelbel once when he was 9. Pachelbel fathered 9 children. The first died of plague along with his mother, and the other 8 were born to his second wife, 2 of whom, Charles Theodore and Wilhelm Hieronymus, became musicians. Charles emigrated to the United States and died in Charleston, South Carolina. Wilhelm Hieronymus stayed in Nuremberg, where he was a church organist for most of his life. So, without further goings on, here are the 3 pieces of Pachelbel: the Toccata in E minor, the Magnificat fugue on the 4th tone, and the chorale prelude on Old Hundredth. to a pleasant evening.